Today, I wanted to talk about navigating different markets. So some will say shifting market, some will say good market, some will say bad market, some will say that doesn't exist. It's either a buyer's market or a seller's market. I say we're in a weird market right now in 2023. We're talking low inventory and high interest rates. So that's a weird phenomenon. So typically, if you saw high interest rates, you might see more houses sitting on the market longer and inventory going up because there would be less buyers. We're not really seeing that right now. It's still such super low inventory that I think they're projecting like about 4 million homes sold or transactions in 2023, where the norm is somewhere around 5.5. So it's an interesting dichotomy. However, I'm not going to talk about today's market. Let's just talk a little bit about what I consider a market where it's stressed, where maybe the transaction counts are down. And let's talk a little bit about what we do in a market like that. So first of all, you've got to cut expenses that are not bringing a return on the investment. So you hear that all the time. My team has always got a mandate to be ready to chop 20% of expenses whenever is necessary or whenever is mandated by myself or as the business owner or whatnot. You can't possibly have as many headcount as you possibly had in a good market. You're going to have to scrutinize a lot of the subscriptions that you have. Honestly, this also talks about a personal budget too. You're paying yourself, hopefully, a salary and not just living off your commission checks. However, tight times in the business is also going to require a little bit of tight times, I believe, on family personal budgets. But again, everybody's got different scenarios. Sometimes it is the spouse is the primary earner and the realtor is not. So again, it's different scenarios for different people. But with that being said, I'm definitely looking at expenses, and I should be tracking my return on investment in anything that I'm contributing to. So for example, I'm a big internet lead guy, and if it's not providing me 4-to-1 ROI, it's probably going away. I can maybe be okay with 3-to-1 ROI, but I want to be pushing 4-to-1 ROI. Currently on the platforms that we use, we are getting that, so we are keeping that because you don't want to cut costs and cut revenue. That is 4-to-1. That's making a return on that investment. However, looking at some of your extra packages that you're paying for, whether that's a second CRM or monthly training that's just coming at a cost and you're not really using it and it's not bringing you extra ROI. Those are things that I scrub and scrutinize. If your transaction counts are down a lot, do you need the transaction coordinator, right? Can you third party it out? Do you have them full time? Do you need to third party it out? Can you just do it yourself? Rainmakers are going to need to look at being back in production if they were out of production to begin with. So a lot of different things you got to look at. Here's my point with a stressed market, what I'll call it. Stressed market with lower transactions just means the typical shift book by Gary is you got to double down. You got to do other things other people aren't. So where people are pulling back, that's when you need to go all in on. So if you notice somebody's pulling back on farming in a neighborhood that you've been after, get after it. You may not turn business right away, but you're setting yourself up to take market share in the coming months, quarters, or years, depending on when the market flips around. You have to be careful though that you don't go buy all these magic what bells that are going to hopefully pan out. You want to do things that are smart and make sense, and where people are starting to pull back again, that's where you want to double down. All right. Other things in a stress market, I would just say, is mindset. You have got to stay positive. You got to say that, hey, with good markets or good times, there's going to be challenging times. This is the time in a market like this is going to weed some of the competition out. So if you remember in the past, when the markets were great, everybody was complaining because every Tom, Dick, and Jane was in real estate doing transactions. And so the average transaction per agent was really low because there were so many agents in. So it's the good and the bad. The good is some of the agents that don't deserve to be in the industry or maybe don't work as hard or just don't have the foundational skills, whatever the case is, they'll be the ones that are probably going to be weeded out, which means the strong will survive. So you got to put yourself in that mindset that's like, hey, I'm here to win this. I don't care if it takes 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, 15 months, I'm here to win. And what I'm building by going all in and doubling my efforts is exactly that is going to happen. The other thing is some of your more senior agents can sometimes get a little bit lazy. I am one of those, right? So I'm not calling out all senior agents. I'm just saying myself, I don't want to do some of the dirty work. I got kind of spoiled over the last couple of years. I may not want to lead generate as hard. I may not want to prospect as hard. So it's a great opportunity for others to kind of take advantage of that are willing to grind it and put in the extra time and energy to make that up. All right. So let's talk about a good market. So in a good market for me is you want to be able to bring leverage at high levels. The leverage is going to help you grow your business. So at this juncture, you probably need to be looking at a transaction coordinator. You need to be looking at executive admin, perhaps a sales manager type role. I won't go through the whole organizational chart, but you should be looking at rolling the dice on some things because there's extra income coming in that can help you grow your business. So that's really what I look at there, doubling down on lead generation costs, finding things that work, spending the money, right, in some capacity, not totally foolish, but making sure you get an ROI on it. Those are things that I'm looking at. I'm looking at market share. How can I get after market share? Pretty simple. Won't go into a lot of details on a good market because I think it's just there and things just happen naturally and you just have to be prepared. What I find with most agents is they survive a difficult market and they put in all the energy and now the rewards start coming, yet they didn't prepare for the rewards to come. So now they're running around with their hair on fire. They got like 12 buyers in the car. They got like 7 listings on the market. It's just them and they don't know what to do. So my challenge to you is as you're building and growing and surviving through a challenging market is to put yourself in a position to be able to pull the trigger when you need to pull the trigger, have your processes documented, have everything ready to go. So that way, when you need to make that higher and you see that trend go up in the market, that you're ready to go. Unfortunately, most people wait too late. And what ends up happening is they get an overwhelm and they don't hire anybody because they can't train them, or they hire them and they think it's supposed to just be osmosis. Like, oh, you're supposed to just know what to do. And that doesn't work out so well in a job role perspective. Think about you, right? If you were to walk on a job with no training, it wouldn't work out so well either. So anyways, those are kind of a couple of the markets. We can look about buyers and sellers markets. I think from the overall buyers market, I think that's kind of, you're just looking at trying to drum up inventory, right? And inventory is going to sit longer and you just have to prepare your clients for that. I'm big into longer listing contracts and agreements. I'm big into, even putting some penalty clauses in where the states allow it that says, hey, if you terminate my contract early, you still owe me $1,200, things of that nature. But I'm also a big believer in transaction coordinator fees or administrative fees to the tune of a few $100s. That allows it. VA won't allow it, of course, but I'm a big believer in covering some of those costs as well, whether it's buyer or seller. Again, state dependent on whether or not you can or cannot do that. So again, nothing too fandango there. When you're in a buyer's market, you just definitely want to be communicating with your sellers because they're sitting on the market for a while. From the buyer's perspective, obviously, it's a lot about setting the right tone and requirements. What happens normally in a buyer's market is there's more houses to choose from, of course. And what that's looking like is buyers are going to end up going and wanting to see 50 million houses. They're not going to want to pull the trigger on an offer because they think the next house is going to be the next best house that comes on the market, so on and so forth. They also want to lowball because house has been on the market for a while. So a lot of that's around coaching and training and really setting the right precedents when you have your buyer's consultation with them. So if you don't have a great buyer's consultation and you're not already training your clients and coaching them from the very beginning, probably going to have some troubles. And then you're going to be the one complaining on the internet, ooh, I have a buyer that's looked at 75 houses. I'm like, that doesn't happen in my world because I've trained them, coached them to say, like, I'm not forcing them into houses that they don't want, but I'm saying, hey, if your minimum top 5 requirements that are no doubters and you can't do anything without it is a 3-bedroom, and you want me to take you to a 2-bedroom, you're giving me permission to say, I'm not taking you to the 2-bedroom. That's not what you wanted. You said 3-bedroom. Yeah, but we just want to see what, nope, then we're not going to do it unless you want me to change your requirements. If you want me to change your requirements, then I'm all about it, right? Hey, we want to also look at an hour outside of our demographic. No, I just tell them flat out, I'm kind of aggressive about it. I'm like, we had this meeting and you said you wanted to stay in this area. Please understand, my job is to coach you and keep you in the box of where you guys wanted to be kept. So hopefully that's okay. Now, if you want to change your requirements, I'm all about that, but we can't change our requirements every 3 days. Let's figure out what we want and let's go forward and make it. Therefore, if you're getting a buyer in within 6 to 10 showings, that's usually about the sweet spot. So if you've done a great job coaching and training them, notice I didn't say forcing them into a house that they didn't want to be in, just coaching and training them, giving them guidance, setting the expectations, then you should be able to make those things happen. I think on a seller's market, of course, we're looking at, well, let me go back to buyer's market for a minute. The other thing is sellers are going to sit longer. So you better be contacting your sellers weekly, giving them market stats. Hey, 2 more just came on in your neighborhood and they came in $10,000 below you. Hey, 3 went under contract. Hey, 1 closed last week and it was $10,000 below you, right? They should already be prepared and know that a price reduction is coming when needed, because you're communicating with them. It shouldn't just be this once every 4 months and like, hey, FYI, I'm back. Just want to let you know we need to drop price. No, you should be having weekly consultations with them. Personally, I also think that we're a little bit lazy with the internet, and that if we sit down and have the meeting with them to sign an agency, we should probably be sitting down with them having face-to-face discussion with a price reduction as well. Just a personal preference of mine. I think it's respectful. I think it's professional, because you're asking them to do something. It's not really something they're excited about. So switching over to a seller's market now. So a seller's market obviously is getting buyers fully pre-qualified on the front end, even more than pre-qualified, qualified, basically being a cash offer. From the loan perspective, it's basically getting them quick, fast, ready to go. We've seen this market for quite a while now. We're all pretty familiar with that in the 2023. Post-COVID was multiple offers. So a lot of this is about training and educating your clients, just like we talked about before, of, hey, it's unfortunate, but some of these new to market houses are going to have 30 showings in a weekend. They're going to have 7 offers, right? Maybe we should be also looking at prices that are a little bit below list price, or based on where you want to be for your pre-qual. Because if you're qualified at 350 and we know 350 houses are going to be going for 370, 375, 380, probably should be looking below 350 if that's your max, as an example. Yeah, I'd say that's most of the markets, and kind of what a good market, a bad market, however you want to classify that, or what terms you want to use. The buyer's market and the seller's market, there's some different tactics in there that you can use. And but I think everything goes back to, are you staying in touch with your database? Period, into the sentence. In a down market, you're just looking for, or in a slow market, challenge market, less transaction market, you coin whatever you want to call it, you got to be right in front of somebody at the right time. There are motivated buyers out there. There are motivated sellers out there. Deaths happen, divorces happen, job transfers, relocations happen. That stuff is happening. However, if you're not staying in touch with your clients and you just hope they call you, you're less likely to get it than if you're just following up with them monthly, right? I have a 17 to 20 day plan where I'm touching my clients every 17 to 20 days in various capacities. Why? Because I need them to be thinking about me as soon as that time of need comes, and I'm exactly there at the right time for them. So, all right, hope that helped you, and that shows you a couple of different things in the markets. Maybe another video we'll shoot later on is specifically on a buyer's market, specifically on a seller's market, specifically on a low inventory transaction market, so on and so forth. So, all right, have a good one.